name is Henrythejedi and welcome to my After Effects tutorial. I first want you to thank everybody. Thank you all you guys for your support, for visiting the site, for downloading the tutorials in whichever ways you could. The site had to be taken down for a couple of days thanks to bandwidth demand. That really shows just how much you guys really appreciate what I'm providing you with, and I really do appreciate the support you're providing me with, and I look forward to such contributions continuing into the future. By the way, today we're going to be taking a look at advanced 3D reflections inside of After Effects. Okay, here is a look at what we'll be creating. Okay, so basically what we have is pictures being reflected onto our floor, and if we look closely, the reflections are being smeared onto the surface. They're not just simple reflections as one is used to. These more or less resemble real world reflections. Okay, let's get started. We are now inside of After Effects CS3. This exercise can be completed within version 6.5, 7.0 and CS3, but I'm not quite sure whether it can also be completed in version 6.5 Professional of After Effects. Okay, now we are going to be working on certain pictures. Some of these, if some of you may have been visiting from my online gallery. Okay, let's get started. We are going to create a new composition. We're going to composition, new composition, keep the settings at 720 by 480 and keep the duration at around 12 seconds. That should do. Click OK. And then what you're going to do next is create solids to hold the place of the floor. So for that you're going to go to Layer, New, Solid, or you can press Ctrl Y on the keyboard. And then please change its settings to 3000 for the width and 3000 for the height, and then click or rather first name it as the floor. Okay, click OK, and then we're going to duplicate the solid by selecting it in the timeline and then just pressing Ctrl D on the keyboard. And then we are going to go to Effect, Generate, Grid. What the grid gives us is some sort of a grid outline that we are going to be working on. So let's just change the settings to the ones which we need. Okay, I'm going to change the corner. The first values we're going to change it to 1518. Then the second settings we're going to change it to 1525. Please change the border width to 2. Okay, this sort of gives it much more the look of what we're going to be working on. Okay, after that we need to generate some sort of a ramp to manipulate the way in which the reflection will sort of look on the surface. For that we are going to select the upper floor layer. By the way, let's press enter and rename it to floor grid. We're going to move it down on the timeline. Okay, and then we're going to select the upper floor layer and we go to Effects, Generate, Ramp. Okay, what the ramp does is give a rampy or rather a gradient look to the surface. So we're just going to play around with its settings there. With the floor layer selected and the ramp effect applied to it, we are going to change the transfer mode of the floor layer to linear dodge. If you cannot access the transfer mode, you can always click on the little button there on the After Effects window. Please do bear in mind the fact that this is quite an intensive tutorial. I've had a couple of After Effects crashes lately. If I can't even count exactly how many times it happened, but I do not know why it happens, but it's mainly because we more or less deal with the 3D functionalities of the application, which it's really intense. Okay, let's continue. We are now going to import the pictures that we'll be working on. But before we do that, we are going to parent the grid layers here to each other, so that whenever one of them moves, the other one follows. Okay, so please make sure you've selected the floor grid, and then click on the parent pick whip, and then drag it towards the floor grid layer. So that more or less controls the way in which the floor grid layer will be manipulated. For instance, if I was to press P on the keyboard to manipulate the position of the grid layer, and if I move the floor grid layer, the floor with the ramp effect applied to it also follows automatically. So the parenting sort of helps us manipulate one object's position affecting another object. So let's import our drawings that, or rather our pictures we'll be working on. So okay, we're going to import our car. Okay, let's position it above the grid, and then we have a character there, and then we have our emblem there. Okay, what you're going to do next is change the settings of our floor grid. We're going to right click on it and then select 3D layer, and then also select the upper floor layer and right click and then select 3D layer. And then what you're going to do is change the rotation so that these particular layers can be perfectly flat onto the surface. So we're going to select our floor grid layer, and then we are going to press R on the keyboard to bring about its rotation parameters, and then we are going to modify the X rotation to 90 degrees. So this sort of flattens it perfectly on the surface that we'll be working on. Next, a very important step to take note of is we are going to change the views to 4 views. So this really gives us a very accurate perspective into what exactly the layers are being positioned. So with the floor grid still selected, we are going to one of the views here, the view on the left here, and then if you keep the mouse there, you're gonna see the Z appearing next to the mouse icon. So with that particular axis selected, it's actually blue in color. We are going to drag down the layer so that it's sort of perfectly set on the horizon. Okay, and as you can see, the floor layer also follows the position and the rotation of the floor grid layer, which is really what we had wanted to achieve. Next, we are going to be working on the scaling of each particular picture that we are going to be working on. So we are going to select our car picture, and then I'm going to press S on the keyboard to bring up the scale settings and just reduce it to sort of the way in which you want it to appear. As you can see, the car is really at the bottom of or rather lower at the lower level of the other layers. So I'm just going to bring it up to see what it's really looking like. So our aim here is to position the pictures perfectly onto the floors, or onto the floor rather, onto the horizon being the grid here. So as you can see, I'm doing all I can to sort of make the pictures bottom reach the horizon. Okay, I believe this should do for our car layer. We're going to select the layer behind it. I'm going to press once more S on the keyboard to bring up the scale settings, and here it's actually below the car layer now. We can even bring it up just in case you want to manipulate it directly. Okay, and next we're going to bring up the character layer, bring up the scale settings, and let's reduce it or bring it up, and let's reduce. Oh, yeah. Please do bear in mind to always save your work. As I told you earlier, this is very likely to crash as you proceed along with it. Okay, once we've done that, we want to turn each of these layers into 3D layers, because right now, if we were to add a camera, let's add a camera now to see what we're sort of working on. Please make sure the settings are at 35mm prime, and enable depth of field is ticked on. Click OK. If we change the view to one view now, and if you sort of try to manipulate the scene, you can see it's only the floor which is being affected by the camera's rotation. So basically it's because all our other layers have not been made into 3D layers. So we are going to undo the camera's rotation. We can even delete the camera altogether. We are going to select all our layers here, all our picture layers. We're going to right click and then say 3D layer. You can also access that by going to layer, 3D layer. So now if we add our camera, layer, new camera, 35mm prime, okay, and if we try to orbit around, we can now see that the layers are being affected by the camera's rotation. So this is we are really getting to what we want to achieve as we progress. So once we've orbited properly around the scene with the camera, we now need to position the layers so that we can easily edit them one by one. So we're going to start with the car layer selected in the timeline. On the scene, as you can see, the Z appears next to the mouse arrow. We're just going to drag it on the Z axis. So now what we get is like a car being being pulled along the floor. Next we're going to, or rather let's push it even further since the scene is so big. Okay, next we're going to work on the layer just below the character. We can send it backwards. In case you're not really getting the results that you want, you can always change the views to 4 views, and this really sort of gives you an exact feel of where each particular layer is in the scene. So as you can see that the car from above, the car is sort of way off the limit here, so we can just bring it back like that, and then we can select our character layer. Let's bring it here. Okay, yeah, change its Z position. This is not bad compared to what we actually want to achieve. We're going to select our last layer there and bring it backwards. Okay, so basically we have all these layers here being positioned one after the other in a row. So I'm going to change the setting back to 1 view, and if we look now, if we select our camera, we really do happen to have them perfectly aligned in the scene, so that our camera can sort of manipulate the scene right now as if they were actually in 3D. What we're going to do next is bring about the reflection, which is the main reason why I made this tutorial anyways. So to bring about the reflection, we are going to use some tricks that I've devised. I hope it comes in handy also for you guys. Okay, we're going to select, we're going to start with the car layer, select it in the timeline, and then press Ctrl D on the keyboard. So this basically creates a duplicate of, an exact duplicate of our layer. So with the layer selected, I'm going to press Enter on the keyboard to rename it. We're going to call it car ref, so to tell us that this is actually a reflection of the actual car. I'm going to select the character layer, press Ctrl D on the keyboard. You can always go to Edit, Duplicate to achieve the same duplication. With the layer selected, press Return on the keyboard. Okay, I'm going to click again on the composition, press Enter on the keyboard, and then let's rename the layer to character reflection. And then we're also going to duplicate the last layer, press Return on the keyboard, and let's rename it to the ref, to tell us that this is also a reflection. Okay, next we need to manipulate the rotation of each of these reflections so that they actually do become the reflections that we want. So with the car layer reflection selected in the timeline, I'm going to press R on the keyboard to bring about the rotation settings, and all we need to do is modify the Z and Y parameters. So for the Y parameters, we're going to enter 180 degrees. And then for the Z rotation, we're also going to enter 180 degrees. So this is an exact, or rather a perfect reflection of our car right now. We're going to do the same with the character reflection. Press R on the keyboard to bring about its rotation settings, and then do the same as before. Y 180, Z 180. Don't be worried about whether it sort of appears on top of the original layers right now. All you just need to do for now is just change the parameters. Okay, once that is done, we are going to select, we're going to go back to our car layer and then select it, and then please have a look at what we're going to be doing now, because this is really where the reflections sort of happen. Let's try to change the view to 4 views. Okay, this should do. And then in here, we are going to bring the reflected car downwards. Oh, sorry, we are working on the wrong layer here. I'm going to select the car reflection layer, and then we're going to bring its Y parameters down. It's really up to you on how close you want the reflection to start from, but by doing this, this already gives us a good result. So basically all we need to move around to manipulate is the y-axis of our layer. This would not be possible if our layer was not a 3D layer. We're going to select our character reference layer and do the same, also move it downwards. And I believe you can see how the updates are taking place on all our views. And then lastly, our layer there at the back, also bring it down to something like that. Okay, we're going to change the view back to one view, and if we walk around the scene right now, this is sort of what we have. So we already do have very good reflections taking place, very good reflections that we can work on, manipulate the way we want to achieve the results that we truly want. Yeah, so basically all the layers are being reflected throughout. So this is really the kind of results that we're looking for. What we're going to do next is one of my favorite topics, which is simulating real-world situations. And in our case, we are going to simulate real-world reflection on our reflected layers. So we're going to start with the car layer. So with our car reference layer selected, we are going to go to, instead of going through the effects panel, let's access the effects and presets tool, which is available for us right there. But of course, we can always access it, but we can always access what we want to do right now by going to effects, or rather with the layer selected. Sorry, effects, distort, wave rope, change the wave type to smooth noise, and then the wave height to 66, wave width to 83, and then the direction, let's set it at -12. Sorry, we're working on the layer way below what you should be working on. I'm going to delete this effect. Okay, let's go to the timeline once more. Click on the car reference. Okay, go to effects, distort, wave rope, wave type to smooth noise, wave height to 66, wave width to 83, direction. If we look closely, we can see already the settings being applied onto the scene, because if we zoom in closely, you can see the reflections are sort of smearing the car onto the ceiling, onto the floor rather. And then you can basically play around with all the settings until you get the one you are really the one you really want to achieve. There is one slight problem, however. If we move along the timeline, you can see the wave effect sort of applying itself there. In order to eliminate that, we just need to change the wave speed to 0. So this sort of tells After Effects not to animate the wave effect in the scene. So we are going to simply duplicate the wave rope effect onto all the other reflected layers. So to do that, we are going to select the wave rope effects, and then we go to Edit, Copy, and then go to our timeline. Then let's zoom in closer into our camera to see whether we applied the effects correctly. So we are going to select our character reference. Sorry, click on it once, and then go to Edit, Paste. So you can see it sort of pastes the reflection, or rather the wave rep settings as it did for our car layer. And then we are going to select our last layer, go to Edit, Paste, and let's have a look whether that has also been applied. Yes, it has also been applied. So let's add one last thing to add even further realism to our scene, and that is going to be some sort of a ramp around the reflected pictures. So we are going to select. We're going to start with the car layer. Select the car reference layer, and then go to Effects, Generate Ramp. So this sort of gives, or rather adds a ramp, or rather gradient to the layer, because in the real world, objects never really reflect all of themselves onto the ceilings or onto the floor. They always sort of disappear at the edges. That's why we add the ramp effect. So we're just going to change the settings here. Okay. You can always manipulate these settings here to the ones you truly want. And just play around with the blend with original settings. Yeah, that more or less gives us the sort of look that we truly want to achieve, like the ramp disappearing in the mist or something. So once more, we are going to select the ramp effect. We're going to go to Edit, Copy, and then go to our character reference, select Edit, Paste. Let's just view what that looks like now. Yeah, it did add some sort of a rampy or rather ramp onto our layer. And lastly, our logo at the back, or rather our picture at the back, we're going to go to Edit, Paste. So this also adds the ramp to it. But one must be also careful when adding this, because as you can see there, for our last layer, it didn't really achieve the result that we wanted. So we can always take it out and remain with the settings as they were. But it's really all about the way in which you manipulate the ramp effect itself. Okay, what I'm going to do now is animate our camera's position to produce our animation. So for that, we are going to go to the beginning of the timeline, go up and bring down the camera's transform settings, and then click on the stopwatches next to all the camera settings. So right now we're going to click on the, or rather we're going to create keyframes for the initial position of our camera. So for that, we're going to go to the camera's animation settings. Let's select the track Z tool. Okay, so our animation will start from this angle, and then let's go to the 5th second. Orbit camera tool. Okay, we're gonna make our camera orbit like that. But this, I really leave this up to you guys, to your creative genius. You can, because you can really achieve endless camera positions to suit really the way you want to achieve your camera animation. Okay. So in our case, we chose at the 9th second to change the orbit once more, and then let's change the track XY. Please, let's make sure that we do not end up above the floor, as in this case. So we should always be careful of that. We should always be working on, or that the camera should always be viewing things above the floor which is being reflected. Okay, something like that. Yeah, that should do it, and you can just let's see, we do have a problem. As you can see here, the camera did go below the floor, so we need to correct that. Okay, we're going to delete these keyframes. Okay, let's see. Yeah, the camera comes in like that. Okay, let's correct that in this way. Okay, let's orbit the camera once more, and then change the track Z to something like that. It seems to be doing its own things here. Just one last thing to fix. If you look closely into the distance, our grid layer is sort of cut off right there at the edges. So we need to scale that up just to fix that problem. Okay, to do that, we're going to select our flow grid and just press S on the keyboard and just bring up its scale settings. So this sort of provides a way in which the camera never shows at any one point that it has boundaries or limitations. Okay. As you can see now, the camera sort of does not seem to appear to have any edges whatsoever. And just for interest sake, you can always, if you wanted to, change the colors of the floor, be it the floor or whatever that you really want to change. So let's say our ramp here, we can always change the color to something bluish, in case you wanted a bluish floor, or a more purple one for that matter. Okay, yeah, so yeah, you can really manipulate the settings according to the ones you want. Yeah, okay, perfect. So that should do it for our tutorial. Please support us by purchasing one of our great training products. At the moment, we have the great training product called Adobe After Effects Unmatched Training DVD. It's available on DVD and on download. If you go to our product section on our website, which is www.henrythejedi.com, you can view all kinds of information that you need to know about this great training product and what it will do to help you achieve so many great visual effects. There is also a product course line that you can also access, where you can play a clip of what each of the particular tutorials covered on the DVD will help you do. Okay, like my favorite one here, advanced light stroke animation, where we have someone which happens to be my good friend Tony Koyabi, busy painting lines of strokes with his own hands. Okay, so it's a great training product in which you'll be covering about 10 great amazing video tutorials. Okay, if you want to see for yourself what this great training product will do for you, you can download for free the official promotional video of After Effects Unmatched. And to access that, you simply go to our products page, and there is a section which says, or rather there is a link which says watch preview. Okay, and then from here you can easily watch the preview of what you'll be covering, and we can also go to the products page by going to the product info link. Okay, yeah, in here then you can download low or rather medium quality or high quality versions of the promotional product, which will show you visually what you will be able to achieve with After Effects Unmatched. Also have a great product support section which covers all kinds of questions that you might have with regards to how to order, how to download, or how to pay for your purchases and so forth. So the product support page is accessible by clicking on the support link on our web page. Okay. And for those who just like to see things for themselves, I put together a flash gallery in which you can check out all kinds of photo shoots that I did of the DVD, because I really like the way the cover looks. I really wanted to share it with you guys. So to access that gallery, which contains the photo pictures, or rather Photoshop pictures of the After Effects Unmatched DVD, you simply go to our products page. Yeah, you go to the product homepage by going to the product info link, and then you're going to see a face of someone who looks like me. I don't know, it could be me. Okay, you're going to see my face there, and then you click on the link which says click on the picture to see more photos of this great DVD. Okay, and the link is also available there. So once you click on this link, it will land you on this particular page, photo gallery page here, where you can easily see all kinds of pictures that I took of this great training product. It's a flash gallery, so basically you can simply click on next and you can see for yourself there what the great training DVD looks like. Okay, it's so beautiful, it's so good looking rather, that I really wanted to show you what it looks like when you actually order it for yourselves. Yeah, you won't be disappointed. So once more, thank you so much for watching one of our great video tutorials, and thank you so much for supporting us at www.henrythejedi.com. And once more, my name is Henry Mbata, and have a nice day and goodbye.